In our last video, we left Watts' hometown of Rapid River and took a short drive to the Peninsula Point Lighthouse, better known to locals as Stonington Lighthouse. Stonington Peninsula stretches south in Lake Michigan from Michigan's Upper Peninsula, helping to form Little Badenoch on the west and Big Badenoch on the east. Shaped like a funnel, the peninsula naturally collects monarch butterflies at its tip each fall, where they rest before continuing south across Lake Michigan on their annual migration. A few monarchs tagged on the peninsula have been found in Mexico, helping document this amazing migration of nearly 2,000 miles.
Reader boards. Picture of it?
Yes, I did. It's about monarch butterflies of Peninsula Point. With the growth of industry at the ports of Escanaba, Gladstone, and Fayette in the 19th century, marking Stonington Peninsula with a lighthouse became a high priority.
Recording me, aren't you?
The sum of $15,000 was allocated to Point Peninsula Lighthouse on July 2, 1864, and the following year a yellow brick lighthouse was built. There was a 42-foot tall square tower attached to a church-style 1.5-story yellow brick keeper's dwelling. In 1868, the Lighthouse Board noted that the dwelling's front wall was cracked and its cellar wet. A bigger problem arose during the winter of 1885-86 when the station's landing dock was destroyed. In 1901, metal handrails were added to the tower's spiral staircase, and a brick outbuilding was enlarged and converted into an oil house.
Yeah, I got up to the second window.
Captain James Armstrong was the station's last innkeeper. When Captain Armstrong arrived at the peninsula, there were no roads, so any travel from the station by land had to be made by horseback or by hiking on Indian trails. On May 20th, 1922, the luminate used at Point Peninsula Lighthouse was changed, allowing the light to be unattended. Ownership of Point Peninsula Lighthouse and the surrounding 47 acres was transferred to the U.S. Forest Service on November 1st, 1936, and the Civilian Conservation Corps subsequently repaired the station's building and built camping and picnic sites on the point. All restoration work done by the Stonington Grange was lost when the keeper's quarters burned in 1959. The shell of the brick dwelling was later removed, leaving just the tower standing, but signs of the dwelling's foundation can still be seen on the north side of the tower. We decided to stay overnight. However, I have since seen on iOverlander, day-use only signs have been posted. We woke up early the next morning and discovered that we had a hitchhiker. I was so startled by this spider crawling across our rear camera that I ended up wearing my morning coffee. We made one last stop to take in the views of Little Badenoch. And I think this is the town of Gladstone across the bay. Next, we traveled to the small town of Garden and stopped at a local farmer's market. Wads found some delicious treats. And a pie! We stopped at a little county park to give Skip some time out of the van. He loves water and he loves sniffing. Come on, Skip. Skip, skip. Continued exploring and drove through the little town of Fairport. It looks to be a small fishing village with access for launching your boats. Fishery. Getting hungry, and Wads was still in pursuit of finding the best pasty. I had given up and decided to try the whitefish. This little pub restaurant really seem to capture the true feeling of the UP. In my searching, I had found this little campground called Portage Bay. It was definitely off the beaten path, but it was a nice place for a night. Oh my gosh! I didn't even know there was a beach here. Oh, and this. Oh, I wish you could have smell-o-vision here. I don't know if I like that smell. Oh, he wants to, yeah. Looks like we might have some rain coming in. I couldn't really tell from our campsite because we're in the trees. This doesn't. Cigarette butts in Michigan than I've seen in Oregon. First off, we'd really like to thank you guys for watching this trip to Michigan. We've been having a really great time. We're currently at Big Beatty Knock, which is a peninsula on which lake?
A bay off of Lake Michigan.
Okay. And did you spend much time here as a kid?
Parts of it, not this particular bay or these campgrounds.
Yeah. So we wanted to take a little bit of time here and talk about how we find our campsites. We're asked often about how we find campsites when we're traveling so much. And I guess I can preface that by saying that the way we travel may not work for everyone. It works well for us because we don't really like to be committed to reservations and time frames. But that does leave some challenges. I guess the first thing too is to think that we are retired, and so we are not on a big time frame to say we have to get from here to there and back to work by a certain day.
Lots of flexibility.
Yeah, a lot of flexibility.
But you can't wing it totally.
No. The other thing is that we don't like having long travel days. We try to keep that to about a 3-4 hour drive, or at least,
or 2 or 3 hour drive.
Yeah, Google Maps may say 2 or 3 hours. For some reason that ends up taking us maybe 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
But during the day we also have our life to live, which means cooking and cleaning up after meals, showers, making beds, chores, laundry stops, and everything that you need to do every day in life. But going back to our campground reservations, of course, when we stayed at the national parks, that did require reservations, and they were very difficult to get. I started making reservations, or trying to make reservations, probably about 6 months, maybe 4 months before we left. And it was just a matter of being very diligent and checking the website several times per day and not being overly picky about what the site had to say, as long as we could fit in it. And I made a mistake a couple times and got us into tent only or something too small. We were able to find campsites at all but Zion. Zion, we had to wing it, and we didn't get to stay in the park. I think when we were in Bryce, we stayed there the longest, but we had to move several different sites. And Black Canyon of the Gunnison, we kind of did a little boondocking in the national park because we got there a day early. And it was Memorial Weekend, so that was just hard all around.
We tried to be sneaky and parked in an area, a day use area, and kind of hid behind some bushes. Well, bottom line is we got away with it, but we paid for sites the next day.
Yeah, we had reservations there at the park. And then our other types of travel. I think when we're traveling, or as we call, we're putting in miles. We're just trying to cover some distance each day. What oftentimes we'll do is look on our travel route. We use Campendium and iOverlander because I like to read the reviews. There's a couple other ones that I look at from time to time, but those seem to be our go-tos. I kind of plan our route according to overnight stops and of course dump stations. That's something that pretty much dictates our route and our travel, in that we have the van and we have very, very small tanks. Our freshwater tank, we do shower in our van. And so we're pretty much on a daily hunt for somewhere where we can dump our 8-gallon black tank and fill up with fresh water pretty much daily. We can stretch that a little bit if we need to, but I prefer not to be the stinky campers.
Every 2 or 3 days,
yeah,
you have to find a dump
it
site
becomes a must-do.
And fresh water to take on.
And I'm a little on the frugal side, so if I can find us a free place to dump and it's not far off our route, we might just change our route.
And the free ones are out there. They're just not very real abundant.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's the travel centers that we find, Loves and TAs and whatnot. And, they have a charge. And if we have to pay, well, we'll definitely pay if we can't find anything free. And then if there's state parks or private RV parks, I can call and see if they have that service available. So, we've definitely paid for dumping and water as well. It's really difficult finding water in Utah. Dumps all over the place, but fresh water, whew, that was tough.
And they don't charge by the tank.
No, nope. Little tank, big tank, you pay the same. And then as we're traveling, we have utilized rest areas if they let you stay overnight. That's not my favorite. Truck stops, that's at about the bottom of my list because they're so noisy.
Sometimes truck stops can get very loud.
Yeah. We also have slept through many of them. And of course, the Walmart. I've kind of got a bit of a love-hate with the Walmarts.
All Walmarts don't let you park there.
No.
That has been changing.
And it's, I try to reward that in that, when I need to stock up and I know I'm going to be dropping some money, I try to pick a Walmart that does allow the overnight parking, and that way it gives back to them and it gives us the opportunity to just pull in. And when I say Walmart, we try to get in late, and we don't put out our awnings and our yard chairs and the barbecue. We're just parked and get a good night's sleep, make a thermos full of coffee in the morning, and we're back on the road. So
there's usually a day use area we can quickly get to in the morning and spend some time there. if that's what we want to do.
Yeah, in the morning I like to just get driving a bit, and I'll find a place where there's either a rest area or a city park, and we can pull in and make breakfast and shower and actually get our day started, and we're not just in a parking lot. But that being said, that's another thing that we do is, if we find a Walmart that we're going to be staying at, I like to find a city park and we go there first, or take care of the tank business, and then go to the park and spend some time where we can walk around the town, or give Skip a chance to run around, and then save the Walmart for bedtime so we don't have to just stare at the parking lot. We've done that and it's pretty boring.
And finding those places, sometimes you don't have an internet connection to do any searching.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you have to stop where you do have the connection and do your searching and do a little bit of planning.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then one thing I found, I've watched enough other YouTube travelers that I knew when you started getting out here in the Midwest, if you get off the interstate, a lot of the little small towns that you drive through have city parks, and that some of them are free, and they've provided electric, and some of them have dump services. Some of them charge a small amount, not bad, and those have been really nice to stop at as we've traveled through. Remember that one in Minnesota was nice.
Yes.
Where there was a little store where you got me the Benadryl. I got bitten by something on this trip. It wasn't fun. And then, of course, there's where we're at now. This is a state forest campground. It's pretty remote.
No services.
No.
You pack it in, pack it out. All you basically get is a table and a spot to park your rig.
And then apparently an abundance of toilet paper in the trees because it's too difficult to walk over there to the pit toilet.
There is a pit toilet, but some campers can be weird.
Well, I haven't went over there to look at it. Maybe it's in pretty poor condition, because I have to say I'm sad to see the campground.
I looked at it, and
very
it's not
cared
terrible,
for.
but
Okay.
Not cleaned regular either.
Yeah, and then there's the more developed state campgrounds that have showers and whatnot, and we stay there as well. They just tend to cost a little bit more. On this trip, we'll be staying at Hiawatha National Forest, so we can use our Access America Pass and get half off campground prices. This is not one. I've just learned that there's a difference between the state forest and the national forest. So we'll be on the lookout for that as we travel.
This state, like many, has an additional park permit you have to purchase and stick in your windshield. Annual price, daily price, I think there's a weekly price, but it's needed for all their parks. Coming through and using parks for one day and moving on to the next state, it's hard to justify the cost. But here in Michigan, we'll be making lots of stops, so we finally bought one.
In our state of Oregon, they don't require that. When you pay for a campsite in a state campground, that includes your vehicle. So that was a little new to us, and as we've traveled, that seems to be pretty much it was that way in Colorado. We did stay at a state park, and we had so many stickers up in the window. I don't think anyone noticed that we didn't have their parking sticker, but we got away with it for a couple nights. And then we didn't go to the state parks after that. And I think there was a couple other states that required that, Minnesota and Nebraska, I think. So, we can't pay that amount. You got a mosquito kind of buzzing you.
Mosquitoes.
Mosquitoes. It's just not feasible for us to buy an annual parking pass as we travel through state to state to state. So if we had to, we would stay at a private RV park, But honestly, other than the sites at the national parks, which I had made the reservations for, and
way ahead of time.
yeah, and then in Utah we stayed in a couple BLM developed campgrounds, and they were very reasonable. We really haven't paid a whole lot for our lodging, because we're pretty flexible. I usually have 2 or 3 places in mind. We start each day with kind of an idea, or at least I start looking where we'll end up at the end of the day, and I like to have at least 3 options, because sometimes what you think is going to work, when you get there, it's just not going to work for you, or maybe the information wasn't real accurate. So we move on to plan B, and sometimes plan C, and sometimes we have no plan. We just keep driving until we find something that feels right. Doesn't happen often, but it has happened. But that's how we have been on the road now for 9 weeks.
9 weeks.
And still going strong. We have a lot of the UP yet to see, and looking forward to the new adventure every day.
We're not on the return trip to Oregon yet.
Although I am getting a little homesick. How about you?
Yeah. I miss my hot tub.
I miss my large shower and my washing machine. And I'm hearing rumbles of thunder over our heads, so
you always need to prepare for rain. It looks like we have some clouds coming in
again.
Yeah.
The rain has been following us this whole trip. When we arrived in Rapid River, Michigan, a fellow that you had went to high school with owned the RV park we stayed at, and he made mention we could sure use some rain, and I said, give it a couple days, it'll be here, and sure enough, it has been. Anything else?
No.
Did you hand me the camera? I think I... Join us in our next video as we visit Fayette Historic State Park. Thanks for watching.